Hi, and welcome everybody to our third collective session that is focusing on the meetings and events industry. We call that the Collective MySpeed. It's the third session, and thank you everyone for joining us, tuning in. It's great to have you. Stay with us for the next 45 to 60 minutes. It's going to be great. We have great guests joining. And also make sure to say hi in the comment section. Let us know from where you're tuning in. And if you feel that adds value to your community as well, make sure to share this post so we get more people involved. The more the merrier, I'd say. And this series here, the MySpeed series, is a series we are co-hosting and creating together with our friends at Great Hotels of the World, which is a leading representation company for upscale luxury hotels and also one of our founding members here at Techtalk Travel. My name is Lea Jordan. I'm co-founder at Techtalk Travel, and I'm super excited for the next 45 minutes with all of you to discuss a very interesting topic we'll introduce in a moment. But first, I introduce to you Rita, my fabulous co-host, Rita Machado. Hi, Rita.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Lea. Lovely to be here again.
Yes, good to see you. Are you good? Ready for the third round?
All good. Getting ready for Q4.
Perfect. And Rita, for everyone, is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Great Hotels of the World. And she's in the driver's seat regarding the topics we're discussing here. And I can tell you the topic today is very interesting because we'll be discussing one of my favorite topics. We talk about food and beverage, which is very nice. But we talk about it in relation to meetings and events and also technology. And we want to look into opportunities and challenges in tomorrow's events environment, what's going on there and what we should prepare for. And we have great guests joining. And before we introduce them, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items so we make the best out of the next 45 to 60 minutes together here. So we are currently streaming live on LinkedIn and YouTube. And you can take part of this discussion. You just join us with your thoughts and perspectives. Make sure to also share your opinions with us in the comments section. If there's something you want to direct to a specific person in our panel, then make sure to tag that person so we can also follow up later on. The same goes for questions, and we will make sure to cover them in our discussion and to include it. So that's very interesting for us because we never really know what direction the discussion is going to take, depending on what are you contributing from the audience. And also just for everyone who's joining us now and wants to revisit maybe the session later on, we will provide it later on as an on-demand session, as podcast and video on all channels on Techtalk Travel and also Great Hotels of the World. So make sure to follow them and their channels to stay up to date. And other than that, I think we're ready to go. It's the third time, so we are professionals by now in the MySpeed environment. Let's dive right into it, and let's get the panelists into picture. We have three great experts joining, being passionate around the food and beverage topic. And I'll kick off with Isabel Steinhauer.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Isabel. Isabel is joining us from Amsterdam, beautiful Netherlands, and she's Director of Food and Beverage at the beautiful hotel Okura, very famous and also a member of the Great Hotels of the World, right?
Correct, yes.
Correct. And you've been in food and beverage since 2009, so that's quite some years. I think you know a bit about it. And one of your former stations is, for example, the beautiful Ritz-Carlton here in Berlin. And about the Hotel Okura, for everyone who doesn't know that, it's a very splendid hotel, a luxury hotel, and it's of the art of Japanese service. They have 4 restaurants. 2 of them are Japanese cuisine, and they hold 3 Michelin stars. And you even have one with a bib gourmand. And I'd say it's a very interesting property to hear from, right? And then we have from Spain tuning in, we have Ángelo Vassallo, the Director of Food and Beverage at the Fairmont Barcelona, Rey Juan Carlos I. Hi, Ángelo.
Hi, Lea. Hi, everybody.
Yes, I'm ready, and great that you're joining us. And to also give the bit of context here, it's a beautiful hotel, the Fairmont Rey Juan Carlos, but it's currently closed. You reopened during summer 2020, right? And it was a successful season for you guys, but then you closed again in November. So, and you're looking forward to opening up again, fingers crossed. But in the meanwhile, in May, you were part of a task force within the Accor for the opening of the first SO hotel in Spain, the SO Super Grande, right? And they were in charge of mainly the preparation of opening the F&B departments, which includes, for example, the introduction of the standards, SOPs, etc. So I think, you have something to share with us to introduce something like that in a time like today. It's probably very interesting.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. And then the third one in the group today joining us is from the technology side. So we have that perspective too. It's Madison. Michael, yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. You're tuning in from France. That's right.
That's right, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Bonjour. Welcome. Great to be joining us. And Michael is representing Minomoto. He is founder and CEO. It's a menu CMS and display tool that's designed to make online presentation of food and beverage offering easy and effective for restaurants or hotels or anyone having an F&B operation. And I'd say you're on a mission against online PDFs. Is that right, Michael?
That's part of it, yes.
Part of it, okay. Yeah, we will probably touch that topic later on as well. And yeah, you're all about migrating your customers fully digital to have responsive, interactive, and smart menus. So it's interesting to have your perspective with us here as well. And I think it's a good group to start off. But Rita is in the driver's seat, so I know we have an endless list of interesting topics. What's the first one we're going to step in with?
Right. Thank you, Lea. Yes, we have an endless list of topics, so let's focus on the main ones. Otherwise, we'll be here till dinner. The first topic I'd like to discuss with all of you is clearly that F&B offering has become even more important within a hotel. If you can't sell rooms or meeting rooms, most of us have pivoted with our restaurants, and they've really shone as a differentiator for today's customer. And with them, we've realized that we're living in a paradox. We have people talking about the need for human interaction, the human experience in a restaurant. And at the same time, here we are all talking about technology and how that can help us pivot in today's world. So I just like to launch that, throw this at you. Isabel, maybe to start off with, how in the Okura Amsterdam, you felt over the last year or so, these two forces working together and at the same time, really, technology and people.
Well, Rita, it's been a challenging and interesting time, and more than ever did we realize that this year Okura is celebrating its 50 years anniversary, that it did pay off to already build years ago on the local clientele, at least when it comes to the restaurant part. We were able to really differentiate ourselves on being there for our guests, even when the restaurants were closed due to the COVID and the pandemic. We would be trying to reach out to our guests via master classes. I give you one example, a beautiful time that we had when one of our executive chefs did a sushi masterclass for our guests at home. So we're really trying to connect as well there on the local side and with also international clientele. But yeah, the true focus was really on the locals and to be authentic, personalized, and that really made a difference. And now that the restaurants are open back again after second lockdown since the 1st of June, we see our guests, they really missed us, regardless of the connection that we try to build within. They really are dying to come back to experience the product and to experience that experience, because at the end of the day, as you said, Rita, it's all about the human interaction that really counts. And technology, I think we come back to that in a second, maybe. How much does it add value, actually? Because in some areas it does add value, and in others you can never substitute that human part.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Michael, how do you see technology helping restaurants and hotel restaurants at this moment in time? Because clearly there's an upside.
Yeah, well, I mean, we started out a number of years ago with MENUMODO, and we really focused on helping hotels drive business into their restaurants, provide information about their F&B outlets that was kind of in sync with the quality of the overall product. Luxury hotels very often did not have any menus at all on their websites, or they had multiple PDFs, and so we developed a system that made that better. Now, the pandemic changed the focus, obviously. First of all, because they were closed for a long time in many places around the world. And secondly, because then it was all about how do we handle the business? We have local regulations, we have expectations, we've got sanitary concerns. We can't touch menus, so we have to have an alternative. So we jumped into that space, not because we are, or because I am convinced that that is the future, or that is the solution for everybody. Definitely for 2-star restaurants at the Okura, it's unlikely to be a solution, or that goes way into the future, because that's where you talk about the quality of the product, the experience, the advice you get from knowledgeable staff, and all of those things. So there's much more to it, but we had to do it. So it's an add-on to our solution. We decided not to go all the way, so we don't have an ordering system where you order and you pay and do all those things. They exist and they're very valuable in certain environments, but we really focused on providing quality navigation, quality displays of menus that could work as an alternative to paper. Right? Mm-hmm. Is that going to last? Who knows? Right? So I think there are split opinions about that. I don't have this crystal ball that looks into the future. There's some cost savings involved in using technology like that, but I think in the long term, and we see a shift now again, a kind of light at the end of the tunnel, that customers are looking at the future, looking at driving business. So as travel returns, and also as they have, you mentioned before, discovered the value of local business, that's why they have to behave more like local restaurants. And right. A local restaurant with their website, they have their menu on the website, and it looks pretty good in most cases. So that's what's driving a lot of what's in the thinking of hotels right now.
Mm-hmm. Ángelo, when you worked on your task force at the Soho Hotel this summer, or this year, at least since May, I think it was, mm-hmm. How did technology come into the equation, if it did at all?
Yes, it did. It did, and in this case, in the question, it was, let's say, to have a look which kind of a process you can digitalize in order to be more attentive on the human touch afterwards. I mean, to concentrate yourself on what is adding really value in the interaction with the guest, and maybe digitalize what is not really so important or adding value at the end of the day. With Michael, we already worked together with the Fairmont. We worked as well together in the Socio Grande. And for me, the digitalization of the menu as well in the Socio Grande was really important, because at the end of the day, you can adjust your menu according to what you have during the day. You don't need to print it again. You can, if you have business, maybe you can focus on what is really faster to produce from your kitchen. And regarding the Socio Grande, what we did as well was digital ordering for room service. Taking consideration that the Socio Grande is a resort and is developing itself in horizontal. It's not like a normal hotel, which is vertical. So you need a lot of time to deliver the food to the room. So which means that if you digitalize a part of the digital ordering, you can gain time on spend more time with the guests when delivering the food. And the same we did as well for the pool. There's a magnificent pool in the restaurant called ISO. And we decided as well to introduce the digital ordering from the pool itself. So you don't need to wait for the waiting staff coming to the pool. You can just order your nice cold beer or a bottle of champagne by the pool, digital ordering, coming to the desk of the bar, and then we will deliver to your sunbed. So it's something that it's easy to use for the guests. It's easy to use as well for the staff. It's making the interaction a little bit faster than initially, but it's not missing the human touch. I mean, the people around the pool will always take order if needed, but you can speed up and you can make it even more, let's say, interesting with the digital ordering.
Right, absolutely. Okay, one of the things we also discussed was how visual all of this is becoming, and online menus, and Michael was telling us how MENUMODO is integrating with social media for the feed. So people are a lot more open to, pictures of dishes. Even, I was looking at the Royal Monceau, one of MENUMODO's clients, and their, very upscale restaurant has pictures of their signature dishes. Now, this is something that works online, and I can't imagine this working in print. I just don't see how this would work in print in an upscale restaurant. But there's no doubt to me that our generation, and certainly the generation below us, is a lot more visual, and they react to visual communication. Do you think this is a trend that's going to carry on, or do you think this will backtrack into only text menus?
I think looking at the luxurious segment and the authenticity of two Japanese restaurants here, an international 2 Michelin star restaurant, Rita, yeah, the visualization of a printed dish on a menu, I found that a bit awkward. And looking to Ángelo and the concept of beach places, pool places, I think one size doesn't fit all. So it does make a lot of sense to utilize those pictures and visuals in some of the areas, and in others you may want to lead to it. I could also say that for in-room dining, I think this is a way forward for the longer term, because it's an easier way to communicate. People don't want to pick up the phone. They want to see a little bit more the outcome, what to expect. So once again, I think it totally depends on the concept of the restaurant. It depends on the location where you are. So I'm really looking forward also to develop our in-room dining offerings more towards easily more approachable, and pictures there could really truly make sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Michael, have you seen pictures being a feature of any one of your clients?
Well, yes, it varies significantly by region of the world. I mean, in Asia, pictures are required. I mean, in China and Thailand and Indonesia, if you have a digital menu without photos, it doesn't really look very good. It's not perceived as valuable. So their photos are really important. I mean, I agree. For a starred restaurant, it is not really essential to have the photos, or not good to have the photos on the menu. However, it is more used, and you mentioned the Hawaii also. The photos there are not in the menus, right? And the menus they use in the restaurant, even with the QR code, they don't have photos in them. But they use it to create an atmosphere to help guests decide on their restaurants and to understand what they can expect there. And it's not only for the restaurants, but on hotel websites as well. It actually helps people take a decision to stay in a hotel or not. I mean, if you imagine, now city restaurants may be a little bit different, but if I go to the Maldives, let's take an example, and I've got a choice between 3 or 4 luxury hotels that kind of fit into my price range. I'm traveling with my family. I need food, well, that I like, that my wife likes, and that my children like. Right? I'm likely to actually look at the menus, right? And that's where we see a tremendous number of views to menus on the restaurants' websites, on the hotel websites, for all types of hotels. And so there is some evidence or some feeling that it actually helps people to take a decision where they're going to be staying.
Absolutely.
It's not only about the food. In the end, it is, obviously, but it helps round out the picture. Just as you have really nice photos of the rooms now, and not just one, you might even have a 360-degree tour. Suites, you might have a floor plan to really let people understand what it's all about. And the food images obviously contribute to that.
Yeah. Also, we did discuss this as well, how dynamic menu pricing is being helped by technology. Ángelo mentioned actually menu re-engineering. I'd just like to throw at you, when you have sustainability as one of the core concepts today, in today's consumer, and sourcing local products, fresh produce, clearly an opportunity for restaurants and groups, menus, to show off how far along they are. But do you, especially Isabel and Ángelo, do you see that there's a financial interest as well on the profit side for your restaurants in menu engineering, helped by technology, helped by an online menu? Because you clearly can't change traditional menus, every day or every 2 days, according to what comes in your basket.
Yeah, I mean, regarding especially the one working for a big hotel chain, we know that we have really high standards in printing menus. So I remember the last time that I printed my room service menu, which was really, let's say, focused on respecting the standard. It was really a huge investment for us. And now thinking that you can just change it every day, just in a digital menu, it makes a lot of space in terms of financials. And you can change it, rearranging seasonally, depends from the guests staying at the hotel. For example, if it's a Arabian season, you can arrange it for the Arabian people staying in the hotel. You can arrange, for example, speaking about the Fairmont Juan Carlos I, when we have Barcelona playing against Madrid, you have a so big volume of people coming to the hotel that maybe you want to focus in food, which is pretty easy for the kitchen to prepare. And then you can just add some items on your menu, which you could not do with a standard menu, which was printed before. And of course, in terms of menu engineering, we were speaking about this as well earlier. Of course, in this day that when I'm expecting a really high volume of business, maybe I can focus on the more profitable items that I have in the menu. And I can just place them differently so that in marketing strategy, then they will be the first choice for our guests. I could not do this for a printed menu because otherwise I would need to spend a lot of time to print it in the simple case, or a lot of time to fight with my financial management. I need to reprint again a menu for marketing strategy. Says, come on, guys, you need to budget it before. So it will be a long challenge. So I think that digitalization for me in terms of menu is helping a lot in menu engineering, is helping a lot, as you said, in the revenue management as well, because actually if you can change the item, you can as well change the price if you wish. And in terms of sustainability, I mean, we are seeing a lot of menu with soup of the day, catch of the day, but now everyone is not specifying what is catch of the day or soup of the day. With a digital menu, you go over there and you can specify it in 1 second. And, Michael can confirm it with the MENUMODO as well. It's pretty easy. So I see a lot of potential over there. And I have to be honest, not only for let's say mid-scale or just upscale restaurant. I see as well for luxury restaurant that can as well benefits from it. I had recently in Madrid an experience in a gastronomic restaurant which was not using digital menu, and the menu was outdated. We ordered 8 different items. Of the 8, 50% of them were out of stock. So with the digital menu, you can just take them off. Of course, the waiter should be aware of this and communicate to the guests, but you can help your staff doing it digital if you wish. So, I mean, it depends always from the concept, but I see the digital menu for me as a great help for customer service, for revenue management, and of course, in terms of sustainability as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Also, in terms of efficiency, looking at the number of colleagues having to distribute, I mean, the Okura has 300 rooms. With all the changes, flexibility, it's also very efficient to make small changes, act accordingly, price-wise, but also from the content. So it does have a lot of benefits in the room service part. And coming back to the restaurants, I think looking at digitalization, using of QR codes, again, it does help a lot in some areas. And it's something that here and there people have started to really miss the old normal, new normal with a paper printed menu or an open menu that they can have, someone explaining the dishes, doing the exact wine pairing next to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's also part of the experience, right, that we touch upon a bit later, I guess. Yeah. We have a question from the audience, Pedro Colaco, who's joining us from Lisbon. It's a question that's not related now to technology, but he's interested in hearing from you guys how much the local traffic is versus guests now at your restaurant, how it has changed, and what do you expect to see in the future in terms of your guest profiles, if you are able to forecast that a bit. Well, how do we start? Isabel, you want to start with your Amsterdam experience?
Yeah, the local footfall has been very high. I would say it's like the sort of the 80-20, which has been there in the past. And that really helped us a lot to stay in touch with our guests also when the restaurants were able to reopen again. So that local focus, building those long-term relationships, this is so essential, and it helped us a lot to stay in touch with our guests through the closure, but it also does now. And today, I mean, on Monday, we had the first conference ever. I mean, I'm talking now 138 attendees, which is big when previously you talk about 800. But this is also guests who actually like to spread out in little groups in the evening to dine with us. So it's essential to have hotel guests joining, conference guests joining, but I would say it's overall at 80-20. And I see that also in the future, that people want to spend that time together, networking, having common dinners together, whilst you can convert a meeting room, of course, completely different by allowing yourself 2 to 3 hours of turn that whole room into entire dinner venue. You don't have to go into different restaurants. You can just utilize the fact and convert the room into something else.
Okay.
Ángelo, how was your experience? Because you said your summer season was very good, actually. So was there a change in the actual profile of guests coming to your restaurants?
Well, it was a change that it was already occurring in the past, even if in a different form, okay? Because we have different restaurants in the Fairmont, and there's one of them which was historically a good restaurant for local people. For example, in the season 2019, we actually had a business mix of 54% guest local market, so no resident, and the 46% from in-house guests. So the restaurant was really well known in the local community. Of course, during the COVID season, the percentage was completely for the local people. We had more or less more than 90% of the people coming to the restaurant, which were people resident of Barcelona and not sleeping at the hotel. And I saw as well the interest of local people going for hotel restaurant when I was in Soto Grande, because even if we were not open yet, we did have a lot of requests of people around the area for coming to dine to the hotel. So I think that one of the, let's say, positive side of the pandemic was to make even closer the hotel with the local community, because at the end of the day, there was no really other opportunity to travel around. So it was a sort as well to escape from the normal routine that you have in the city. And it was as well for a city like Barcelona and other overcrowded, over-tourist city to get more closer to this community, to show them that we are here as well for them. So we are not just for tourists, we are as well for the local community, and we are as well ambassador of the local community. So for me, the F&B department is like an ambassador of the destination to the external guests, as well as a representative for the people staying in Barcelona. But anyway, yeah, I see a lot of change of more interest from local residents to the hotel restaurant, and it's good because, as we say always, the hotel restaurant at the end of the day is just a restaurant which has the benefit to have hotel guests sleeping in the hotel, but at the end of the day, it's a normal restaurant. There's other restaurant in the city. It's just up to us to make it relevant as well for the local community with the relevant gastronomic and experience.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. There's another question, and that is tapping back into the topic that we just had with digital menus, and also a bit, Isabel, you told us also in the conversation we had beforehand, right, with the QR codes, that your guests, for example, they just don't want that anymore. So there was a period where they adopted that well because of the pandemic, and now they're really expecting you to offer the high class like printed menus. So Felipe Santiago is joining us as well. Hi, Felipe. Thank you for joining us. And he's asking the group, why do you think there is no significant migration from physical to digital menus? And do you think that the pandemic experience will boost maybe the rising trend of digital menus, and if so, to what extent? Yeah, Isabel, maybe you start, because you already shared something with us, right? The observation that there wasn't really sustainable, the introduction of QR codes, for example.
Well, the QR codes are very successful when it comes to room service. And indeed, in the restaurant itself, people were looking again to touch something, to look at something, to be explained, to be given some advice. So overall, it is really, from my point of view, something that people are a little bit sick and tired. It doesn't fit the concept, and it is very ideal to use it, and it works very well if we do use it in room service. So there's two-way streets. Again, I'm repeating myself. One size doesn't fit all here. And to answer Philippe's question, I think, where does the trend go? I think it is extremely helpful. It's extremely valuable to utilize it in certain concepts of outdoor location, restaurants which are situated outdoors, pool restaurant, beaches. I think outside Amsterdam, 30 minutes from here, we have wonderful beaches around. And if I go outside to dine there in private, I really take advantage of that QR code. It works. It lets you look at visuals of printed menus, visuals that you would see. You can have the waiter not even having to approach your table. You can have a very fast and efficient service there. So yeah, it really depends on which concept you are looking for.
Michael, could we hear from Michael on this? Because with over, I don't know, 2,000 clients, you've got some experience on, on the challenges that restaurants and hotels face on implementing any technology.
Well, I think, I think we're saying there's no one size fits all solution, and the requirements vary. Say in a 2-star restaurant, and I go there for the experience and for the food. And yeah, I like touching the menus, and I've been starting to eat out again recently, and I haven't had one restaurant with QR codes, whether it was in Switzerland, Germany, or France. I always get paper. So I think it depends. I mean, the technology is there, our hotel customers surprise us because in some of the big hotels we see a tremendous number of use to the QR codes, and in others not at all. It's simply not used. So it is. There's no clear answer on that. I think that in the beginning there was so much uncertainty about the whole pandemic and how do I catch this thing? Do I catch it from touching something? And well, everybody's built their own ways of coping with that. I think the one challenge, and we talked about it in a previous conversation, was the expectations of not just diners, local diners, but travelers. So I come from a country where I am used to having QR codes. I go to a place where, well, I might expect it there as well, because, well, it's my comfort zone, and I've built my rules based on the past 18 months that I've gone through in my environment. Are we going to have to provide it? Or are we going to end up having QR codes as a backup instead of having paper menus as backup? I can't predict that. I think everybody will just have to be flexible, and that's what we're doing with our technology. It's there, and for our subscribers, for our customers, if they want to use it, they do, and some do, and some don't. Yeah. But it's as simple as that.
Yeah. I do have a question again about how far do you think technology and online menus will actually be used in banqueting and groups for MICE business. Clearly, MICE business, especially international, is, if you've ever received a group request, you have PDFs thrown at you, and you have 7 or 8 PDFs thrown at you in one email, plus a couple more in Skype and a couple more in WhatsApp and a couple more in Slack if you use it. And you get drowned in PDFs. And Ángelo is laughing, so he's already seen group coordinators sending out PDFs. Do you think they will come to an end? Is Michael's war on PDFs going to be won in the groups department as well? Can you see a day when you're going to be doing an online menu specifically for each client? In your groups department, do you see what I mean? And maybe update it every month until the group comes in with your local, catch of the day or whatever. Do you think that's going to happen, or am I dreaming?
Well, it's happening already. I mean, it depends always from the request that you receive and how you can personalize it. I mean, I recall one German big client that we have every year in June coming. And when it's coming his request, we know that there is no menu that we have in our banquet folder that it could be sent, because it needs to be personalized, it needs to be everything new, everything local, and out of the box. So it will be a personalized menu 100%. Anyway, back to the topic. I think that a digital menu as well in banquet can help a lot. I will give you another example. As I said, I work a lot with the MENUMODO with Michael, and I love in the application that he has the possibility to, let's say, sort or to filter the menu according to the diet of the client. So now imagine that you have a big group and you have the menu that we send to you, and you just give the QR code to the delegates, and they can sort the menu that they have in the buffet or just the menu that will be served according to their diets. So they can just, having a look just at the moment, what they can eat and what they cannot eat, or they need to be adapted. In terms of quotation, of course, you can do a digital menu if you wish, then let the guest filter it as according to what he needs exactly for the group coming to the hotel. I mean, just to switch, let's say, the mentality or the feeling that we have at the moment with the menu. We think that the banquet menu is something static. They are not. They need to be dynamic. Dynamic not just in sense of pricing, but of course in sense of season, in sense of delegates coming to the hotel, in sense of the requests, budgeting, and so on. And I think the digital menu, of course, is there to help as well with this kind of challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Simon Dowell, personalization, absolutely, and consistent throughout the group, yes. And event inquiry handling process, absolutely. Yeah. Does anyone want to comment about technology and hybrid events? How they're going to move forwards? Are we going to carry on organizing 2 events instead of 1? How challenging is that? And how can technology help us in that sense as well? Because clearly we're all being thrown clients with very specific needs for hybrid events. We're not seeing them ending anytime soon, although, as Isabel was saying, because the events are smaller, we're celebrating 138 people like there's no tomorrow. But what are we going to do with hybrid events and technology in F&B? How do you see them moving forwards? And Isabel, I believe you've already organized 1 or 2 hybrid events.
Well, with hybrid events, it does reach some kind of complexity. Overall, it's not only that it is workable and doable on site, which technology-wise you can be very well prepared, very well set. The other side which comes into place is the client who sits somewhere in the world to connect him or herself to that hybrid meeting, which not everyone is a tech expert. So that's a little bit of a challenge. And I think what we also should face is that they will never disappear. But end of the day, there's a lot of things, as we all know, they don't happen online. They don't happen on Teams, on Zoom, or any other tool that we use to connect with ourselves. We want to meet, we want to see each other, we want to do networking. The greatest decisions are taken when we see each other, when we get to know each other. Do you have kids? How do they are doing? And yeah, it just doesn't happen hybrid. So I think there will be both, and it really depends completely on what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And of course, will anyone admit that all of this may cost a lot more, whether our clients are prepared to pay for this or not? Because clearly when you're putting together a hybrid event, you need different technology, more technology. Of course, you may be able to spread out the cost among more delegates, but it's a different event that's going on. So I think we've still all got a lot to learn. Certainly at Great Hotels of the World, we've been talking to our own hotel members, and the actual experience of holding hybrid events is relatively new within a hotel, and in very specific cases of clients who really need to do that event, whatever happens. And at the same time, budgets realistically aren't brilliant. But at this moment, everyone is prepared to risk it to be able to win any business. However, that's, I don't think, sustainable in the midterm, certainly not at today's rates. So I'm glad to hear that it's a real challenge, not just us. And we also mentioned the limited capacity and the financial stretch, right? So this requires very quick turnarounds because events change daily from the minute you get the first request until it actually happens. They're changing very, very quickly, and we need to pivot quickly. Do you think that online technology just in general will help your teams to have less back and forth Is this something that's an issue right now, or maybe there isn't all that much business, so we're all fine with the teams we have? Do we feel we can handle this? I'm talking to a venue in the UK at the moment because we're holding an event in November, and this venue is swamped with requests from the domestic market. They are taking longer than usual to answer any type of proposal. Their teams have been obviously cut. They're now trying to rehire. No staff available. And the reality is they are sending proposals and menus as they probably were 2 or 3 years ago. Again, the emails and the PDFs back and forth. Do you think this will change anytime soon? Ángelo, did you have any experience in the Sotto Grande?
Unfortunately, I don't have any experience with software or technology helping us to be a little bit more effective on this. I mean, I know that we can, let's say, organizing a little bit better our internal process, but I don't know any software or something that which can help us to have, a sort of automatization of the process in order to be faster with this. Otherwise, as you said, maybe you will send the classical banquet menu, which is not really relevant for this event. But I think that with what we move forward in F&B in general in technology and combining it with the banquet world, with the events world, I think that we can maybe slower than the restaurants, but as well in the MICE market, we can move a little bit more in the automatization of the process and make it a little bit faster. Because as you say, now you're receiving a lot of requests. Maybe you spend more time in qualifying them because honestly, there are a lot of requests that are not really relevant for your hotel, or maybe you get the same. We had it in the past, but now it seems to be a little bit even stronger than the past. You have the same quotation divided
from different sources.
Different sources. At the end of the day, you will realize that it was the same. So you spend a lot of time on the same events. So maybe it's just invest more time at the moment in qualifying the events and then make sure that you are going to reply fast to the ones which are really relevant business for your company. I know that the instruction at the moment is get everything in the market which is available, but maybe qualifying is always there to be a good tool to make sure that what you get is really relevant for your hotel.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very time consuming, Rita. To, in many cases, send at the moment 2 proposals. One is how many people can we accommodate at your facility? And if we can't accommodate 400 persons, how can we connect 200 hybrid and the other 200 person have a dinner? And how can you maybe have the chef explaining a menu where those 200 which are not on site can enjoy some kind of food at home? I mean, it's really like thinking out of the box, but it's time consuming. And it's good to know that potentially, hopefully in the upcoming weeks or so, we can have the opportunity to not having to align anymore to the 1.5 meter regulations, which are very strict right now still in the Netherlands. So we can increase capacities again, because that would also help our sales team to react quicker, even faster. And again, it's all about personalization. I mean, when we had the hotel close, we did online site inspections. So our sales team would really go through the closed hotel rooms. We would have some colleagues here on site and even bring the chef himself into the picture. And there's a lot of things to do this online as well, to just be there and be in touch. But it's very time consuming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Anything else do you want to discuss here? Any of Ángelo, Michael, or Isabel, anything we haven't covered yet from our talking points? Because we did go overboard preparing this, and we've had to pare it down. I think the only issue we haven't discussed is private celebrations with personal events, families celebrating, etc., small groups, which nowadays we're looking at in all our hotels. But at the same time, we're dealing with non-professional organizers. So again, hugely time-consuming. and requiring a very fast turnaround from our teams, whereas a more professional event organizer would probably be a bit quicker sending things through. Have you felt any of this in recent months in your hotels? Have you seen an increase in private celebrations and groups and events?
The requests have been coming through, and sometimes you would, when we were able to do so, which has only been a few weeks from now, we simply had to deny some of the requests because capacities didn't allow. If you do go by the strict regulations in the Netherlands, if there's people from different households, you still have to sit down whilst you're consuming food and beverages. So that's what a convention at this moment looks like. It's not like the networking, we are 100 people and we network together with drinks, just being very close to each other. This is not allowed as of the moment. So
of course, and it's one of the trends for next year is all this social distancing, how you can make this happen in your hotel in an event, and at the same time provide an experience, without people feeling lost in a room. Before, an empty room was seen as very negative, and now it's just a necessity. And we've seen many of our hotels create little islands of things happening, interactivity, because people can't network one-to-one anymore. They have to network around something tangible and maintaining distances. So, it's a real challenge with the current capacity levels. It's a real challenge to keep these events going. Also, the service, I think we've all seen the type of service in our food and beverage outlets changing into a more personal service, because we're not allowed mass buffets anymore in most countries. So you have to have teams serving your delegates, right? And that allows for interaction, of course, but it doesn't allow people to help themselves as they did before. And, and the big question is, of course, how much does all this cost? Because you then have, Ángelo is raising his eyebrows, because, of course, it's not the same price, when you have all the wait staff serving everyone. Do you think that's here to stay, or do you think it'll go back as soon as regulations permit?
Well, I will give you an example, which is not really from professional person, but from my parents-in-law. They were really happy when they could enjoy for the first time after the pandemic a normal buffet breakfast, as it was before, no assisted, no a la carte, just buffet breakfast, just with a pair of gloves and some gel. So they told me that was the best experience ever that they had after the pandemic. So people are looking forward to go back as the buffet was before, because it was as well a sort of something that you can find just in really nice hotels. I think that there are something related to the buffet that will come back as it was before. It's something that we were already changing, like the show cooking station and people explaining what we were producing and so on. So I remember that in the Fairmont, for example, we have most of our buffet offer. It was as well with the show cooking station in order to be more interactive with the guests as well. So I think that this part will stay because we like this experience, and as well this educational part of the gastronomic experience. I don't think that the buffet will be over, because I saw already other colleagues already going back to the buffet, because it's easier for the staff, it's easier for the guests, and at the end of the day, if you just put in place some minimal, let's say, safety procedures, you can get a nice buffet with safety condition as well. At the end of the day, everyone is going to the supermarket today. No one is getting sick from going to the supermarket, and everyone is touching the wagon of the supermarket. Everyone is touching the food on the display. So I think that sometimes we need to have a look as well outside of our hospitality world, have a look at what other industries are doing. And maybe we were too much worried at the beginning regarding this. I mean, it's important to be on the safe side, to be conscious, to adapt procedures. But at the end of the day, I think that we attract too much attention on the hospitality world in terms of be safe, be safe, be safe. Because we were safe, we are still safe.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And also, we've seen people emphasize quality. So this pandemic has made people appreciate quality even more, and we really don't think we're going back on that. So people have become more demanding, as you say, looking for educational opportunities, looking to learn more, learning to interact, and they've also been experimenting at home. So all the TikTok classes and master classes probably that Isabella's been holding, they've changed how people view food even more. So we have a lot more foodies out there and wanting to share that knowledge as well. So I think that...
Yeah, regarding this topic, there's another comment from the audience. Ricardo Codesilla Fernandez is joining us. Hi, Ricardo. And he's having an idea, and he just puts it out there and says, why not take advantage from that? And I think he relates to when we talked about having like the digital, like the hybrid part of the attendees enjoying maybe some education from a chef while the others are on site eating. And he's asking why not take advantage from that and have the kitchen online with guests to the digital menu when in the restaurant or on the hotel TV channel. So I think he means like connecting them while they may be waiting for the food via iPad or a screen, so they can connect with the kitchen staff. And he wants to know what you think about that, if you think that would be making sense or add value.
It depends from the restaurant. Sorry. Isabel, go ahead.
If I understand it correctly, then this is indeed the part where some are enjoying the physical food at home and the others are joining the class with the chef. And of course, this can be set up in a way that you could dial yourself in and also let the questions go to the chef who could answer. But are we doing it then for 200 guests, or are we doing that for a smaller audience? So that also depends on the size, if I do understand the question right. But overall, yes, it's again, getting a connection to the chef is very valuable. People want to see the chef, they want to talk to the chef, and
the chef. And how is the chef feeling about that? Because I mean, they usually have private kitchen, and if we put them on a channel now and they're being watched or like actually like asked to interact while they're doing what they usually do, how do they feel about that? It's like,
that also depends on the chef, and I know that some of our chefs would love it and some wouldn't like to do it at all.
Well, I like the idea actually I don't know, like imagine you're sitting in a restaurant, for example, and you're waiting, and there is a way you can kind of connect virtually with the person that's preparing your food right now and maybe even telling you something about it.
Yeah.
Having you physically in the kitchen. I mean, there's so many opportunities technology can give you to create an experience on top of the personal one you have in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So thank you for the idea, Ricardo. And I mean, we're at 55 minutes now. We almost cut the hour already. Yeah. I know there's many more topics, but what do you think? Shall we round off? And Rita, what would you say?
Yeah, I was just looking at Claudia's comment in Italy with the regulated, with the green pass mandatory, and of course limited number of people or a certain number of outside. So I think this is common in many countries, that we just have to follow this, and there's really not much we can do about it. Of course, it makes planning a total headache because you don't know what you're going to have in 6 months' time. But again, our lead times at great hotels of the world have really, they're shot to pieces. We have some very, very short-term events, almost for tomorrow. And then on the other hand, we've got 22, 23, and really nothing in between. So you can see that clearly people are still navigating in uncertainty. And, I think the teams are doing an incredible job in every single hotel, because obviously they've been greatly reduced, and they're working around the clock with whatever business is out there. But as Isabel was saying, it's a lot about qualifying the opportunity. So I think that's another way that technology could help us reduce the back and forth and all the manual side to it, definitely in groups. So yes, I think Lea, we've wrapped up our topic for now. Isabel, Angelo, and Michael, is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything we haven't covered?
Well, something I'd love to hear actually, because I mean, the headline of our session was technology, F&B, and events, right? So from each of you, what is there like 3 areas where you say you can't ignore that for the next 6 to 12 months? You really have to watch it and see how development is in terms of technology and your department. Is there specific areas you would highlight, and maybe also as an advice to your colleagues listening to the session? Michael, from your when you talk to your customers, what would you say for the midterm period coming? What not to neglect?
Don't neglect the future. Demand is going to come back, right? So you need to be in a position to drive business. So this whole story, and Rita said it before, PDFs are great, but you want to click 25 times to look at 25 menus. No, you want one click, one touch to be able to view all the menus, and those things. Produce content that is valuable and that will help your prospective guests, prospective customers understand the product, and then do what is necessary to handle the day-to-day business based on the type of venues you have, and don't try to find a cookie-cutter solution. I know we have a couple of customers who switched away from big systems. They implemented some big connected systems for all of their venues, spent a lot of money, and they realized it wasn't really necessary. It's like giving a 2-star restaurant fancy digital menus with lots of photos and where they can order and print online without seeing wait staff. That simply doesn't make sense. So think very carefully about what is going to be sustainable in any case, and then just build out logically and incrementally, and don't forget about ROI, right? And all of that.
No ROI, no fun. Yeah. What do you say? What do you recommend?
Well, I think overall it truly is important to understand. Always ask the question: does it add value? Does it add value to add that technology? And technology can also go unnoticed. And I mean, I'm just talking about looking at efficiency. We have those counters at our toilets, and our director of housekeeping, she can see how many people have visited that bathroom within a certain period of time, and then she would send someone most efficiently to go there. If we do look at the possibility of QR codes in the rooms, I think it's fantastic. It just helps us. If I look at a certain digital transformation that the Hotel Okura is going through right now, that will be another session that we can completely fill. Next
you're more than invited. You're welcome to come back and talk about
definitely. So I think we want to know our guests. We want them to be recognized. So if they have been on the conference floor, we want to do something very special for them the next morning for breakfast. But sometimes you work with 5-6 different systems that they don't communicate with each other. So end of the day, hey, this is where we need technology. And that's a big transformation that we are really focusing on in the future.
Right. Angelo.
I mean, most of the points were already covered by Michael and by Isabel, but I have to say that I totally agree with the interconnection to the system, as Isabel said. And for me, at the end of the day, what we need to have a look when digitalizing our hotel or restaurant is to make sure that let's say, adding value for the guests in terms of personalization, make the life easier for our staff as well, in order that they can be more focused on the guest. And of course, be good tools for us to take faster decisions. So for me, the future could be to have a guest choosing the plate or liking the plate in the digital menu. This information is saved in my CRM database, so I can serve it better next time. Automatically, when I'm putting it in the system, my director of finance will get the information about which plate I'm selling more, and the inventory management is going down with the count of this dish. And my supplier knows that I need this bottle of wine more on Monday because I sold it already. So for me, digitalization is to make it faster, to make it personalized for the guest, and to make really easy life for the employee in the hospitality world. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I love that. That's how it should be. The Cool. Yeah, and I mean, if you close this round, we will be back on 5th October with the next session. But still, for everyone that was tuning in and there was maybe topics that we didn't address now in this round, feel free to reach out to Isabel, Angelo, and Michael. I'm pretty sure they don't mind getting connection requests and follow up with individual discussions. I mean, it's super interesting, right, to just ask people to actually work with this every day on a daily basis. And yeah, thank you guys for taking the time. Rita, is there anything you would like to add to close this?
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Michael, Angelo, for making this a great session. Thank you very much. And Techtalk Travel.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm looking forward to hear in half-year time what you have to share then. And if you still have some QR codes somewhere, or if they're all disappeared, or if the menus are disappeared. So it's interesting to keep in touch about this. Yeah. Thank you all, and have a nice evening or morning, day, wherever you tune in from.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.